Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. It's been a long time. Just got back from Vid Summit. Pretty pumped. Got to meet some people, have some fun, and I've been working all day on trying not to screw this up. There's still many options we don't have enabled, but we have enabled some, like this. Who am I? I don't even think it did it. Oh, there. Whew, it did it. Whew. I was looking at the wrong camera. There's multiple cameras and monitors going now, but yes, I am Corey from Aquarium Co-Op. I'm going to start trying to do this more often. That's one of my big goals. We're going for 2 hours tonight, assuming this doesn't melt down, which we have tested it for at least an hour and a half today, and it didn't overheat or anything crazy like that. It's going in 4K, just making sure that everything looks all right. Audio's a little low. I don't know if I can fix that on the fly. If that's low for everyone, I'm not sure what to do about that. I could amp this up a little bit. There you go. You get a little bit. Otherwise, we'll have to fix it next time. So just everyone crank that volume, and I'll try not to scream in your ear. So, the big additions that we've done to the live stream is 4K. And in theory, I can now put questions on the screen, which that's what we're hoping to do today. So if you have good questions will be highlighted. If you have just kind of little quips, if we run out of stuff, yes, we'll comment on that. But we're trying to do a nice Q&A session that means a little bit more. And I want to give a big shout out to all the podcast people, because I feel like I always forget them, even though they're a huge section of the audience that listens to this. And so shout out to you guys slaving away at work or on your jogging journey or your workout, whatever you're doing. And I know I'm going to have to turn windows and stuff around, because I can already tell this is a nightmare. But let's go ahead and try some functionality, shall we? We're going to try... Oh, I'm already hitting the wrong button here. We're going to send that. All right, so in theory, we've got a question on the board. How do I keep frogbit alive from the Great Diamond Authority? I myself struggle with frogbit in an aquarium a lot. It's got these waxy leaves. I'm not going to say I've never kept it alive, but I find I have the most luck when I get it from another hobbyist who is keeping it indoors. That being said, I've kept it outside and overwintered it before. Super duper easy when it's getting an amazing amount of light, but when it's not getting an amazing amount of light, that's when I find it struggles. And that waxy coating, I feel like it doesn't want to be in a tank with a glass top, the water droplets fall on it. I know water lettuce definitely hates that, and Salvinia is not really fond of it either. But add fertilizer to the water. Because they're grabbing their CO2 up out of the air, they can grow really, really fast, and the roots can get really long. But that also means they're going to require a ton of nutrients, and so it's very easy to starve them out. And then because they're close to the light, they eat pretty quickly, and they want a lot of light, unless you get it from someone who's already been growing it in low light. So hopefully that answers your question. Super chats rolling in. I will handle those as I can. And I realize I'm looking up. We installed a bigger screen, but then we had to change lighting, and we're going to try and work on that next. But I had an option. I had the option to go live and hang out with you guys, which is what I want to do, or keep tinkering around. I said, you know what? Let's get through one of these and see what went horribly wrong, and then fix it from there. So, because like right now, the chat is like this big on my screen. It is tiny, and I'm not sure I can, I can fix that at the moment. So, let's see if Jimmy is in the other room, hopefully queuing up questions from you guys. Let's see. Yeah, well, there's only one other one, so we're going to try it. We're going to try the next one here. So from Caleb Lopez, thoughts on white cloud mountain minnows, especially on what to feed them. I'm feeding them bloodworms and brine shrimp and some homemade frozen vegetable and shrimp mix. What about flakes and pellets? So all of those things are good, so I don't want to discount any of those, but when I really want to see them thrive, I want to mix in a lot of smaller foods. So things like frozen cyclops, freeze-dried cyclop-ease, frozen baby brine, crushed up flake. Like I think they've got small mouths, and to me the key is really getting that food to the babies. And if you're only keeping white clouds, very easy to breed that. One time in my garage, was it my first fish room? Yeah, my first fish room. I set up a rack of tanks I bought from a pet store, right? And there was 9 tanks on. I think it was 20s and then 15s and then 10s is the way it went. And I think it was 4 across. So maybe it was 12 tanks. But I stocked each one with like 2 or 3 white clouds to just like cycle them. Like I put kind of cycled sponges in, like a handful of gravel in each one. And I fed them like every 3 or 4 days, just like super lightly. And after about 3 weeks, because I was busy, I was working at a pet store and that kind of stuff, and I had other tanks to take care of, almost every single one of them was filled with fries. So I ended up raising up a bunch of white clouds, and that's where I learned it can be very, very easy to cultivate them because it took so few, took 3, and then, in my opinion, pretty harsh conditions. Like there wasn't really, I think I put a little sprig of like hornwort in each one, so it was like a tiny floating plant. But even with limited food and stuff like that, they pressed on and made more. So especially the gold ones, I really like the gold ones. They look cool. Alrighty, so we've got some super chats rolling in. We've got some more questions lined up, which is great. And I've seen some new green names, so I want to explain what that is. Watch this technology. Oh, it's wrong technology though. Hold on, I gotta turn the other one off. Ooh, see, I can build that in. So if you want to become a member, it's $5. You get a green name, and then you get a little icon. And what's that icon do? It makes you, makes everyone around you be super jealous. So like, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, husband or wife in the next room, once they hear that you have a snail next to your name, they are so jealous. What does it really do though? It mostly gets you some cool points and behind the scenes stuff and the members only community page on here and that kind of crap. But it's kind of a cool thing. And I think we saw the first person to get their puffer badge, which means 3 months, I think. I think Candy has it and maybe a couple others. So as the longer you have been a member, it'll change, So I think the next one's at 6 months, so you got to ride that puffer out for 3 months. But it's kind of a little fun thing that I plan to do. I wish this didn't have to be so close to my mouth, but if I was quiet, I don't want to pull it away. I'll just fix it for next time. So, all right, let's dive into some of these super chatties. I had a window for this. LG3 Nation with the $2.04. Thank you, buddy. And Judy CB with a couple bucks, and Mike Pubels with $5. M How 9, who's got a YouTube channel, by the way. He built a barn. That's not true. He had a barn that he repurposed into a fish room, and he does fresh and saltwater. Just got a new camera, upgrading his setup, doing cool things. I watch him from time to time. What plants do you recommend for a discus tank? He's running it at 82 to 83 degrees. I will be at the Aquatic Experience in the Dad Van. That's a good point. I will be at the Aquatic Experience. So will Jimmy. So will Joel. So will like a bunch of YouTubers all at the YouTube booth. We're going to be there. If you're looking to get a red shirt finally, this is your next opportunity. I gave them out last year, and I'll be giving them out this year again. It's in New Jersey. If you don't know if you're going yet, you better decide quick. If you just heard about it, you better decide quick because it's coming up. It's next weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll be there all 3 days. And as usual, we probably go out to dinner or something like that at least one of the days afterwards. I don't know which day. I don't know where. I'm not in charge of that. I'm so exhausted by the end of the day that I just need to eat and laugh. So it'll be a good time, and I'm excited to see it's in a new spot, see the new vendors that come. I know like George Farmer's coming, Tropica booth, and there's some new stuff coming, so it should be pretty cool. But the question was, what plants for 8283? At 8283, that's kind of, in my opinion, lower end on the discus heat scale, so I think you can do quite a bit. For sure, in the hot category, it'd be things like Bacopa caroliniana, Amazon swords, or most swords, but if you have a pleco, you don't want to mix them with the swords because the pleco will just munch them down. Most Anubias will go there. I think you can grow most things at 82, 83. I don't think you're going to run into too many problems. That being said, obviously, if you get them from a really hot tank already, you're going to do well. And I would say just try a few things. I had my my plecos and all that kind of stuff at 85, 86, and I was running tons of plants in those tanks. I think it comes down to, and this is just my own guesstimating opinion here, discus people tend to focus so hard on the discus, they kind of neglect the plants. And so what I mean by that is they don't put quite enough fertilizer in, or if they are, they're water changing a ton, and that can be kind of stressful on the plant. So the hot temperature in combination with that, I find makes it like, well, I mean, they're growing, but they're not growing type of deal. And so if you relax on the water changes, which is a good thing because you've got the plants kind of absorb and help you with that, I think you'll do all right. So I would say take a shotgun approach. You know, shoot a bunch of plants in there, wide spectrum, different types, see what grows, and then from there, calibrate to your water and your style and that type of stuff, because it doesn't do me any good to be like, these are going to do great. Oh, you have crazy hard water. Hold on, let's morph that over there a little bit. So, all right, I want to grab another on-the-screen question here. How do I do that? I hit this button here. All right, and then we're going to go to the next one. Alrighty, this one's from Joel Millard. Is it possible to carpet dwarf hairgrass without CO2? Definitely. That one is, one of the easier ones to do that with. It's not going to be super easy. The trick I find is limit surface agitation. So I wouldn't necessarily use an air stone. And the reason why is you really want to keep as much CO2 as you can going. Or put an air stone in there and really crank that light. So a lot of light either way, but a lot of light is going to make it really hungry. It's going to eat a lot of nutrients. It's going to want a lot of CO2. And typically in the highlight setups that we do for a high-end aquascape tank, we're going to have highlight, a lot of nutrients, but usually a lot of CO2 as well. So if we're being limited by that CO2, we need to dial in the light and the fertilizer to that. And so I do believe that you can use an air stone in an aquarium and it will add CO2 as long as it's depleting it faster than it's adding it, if that makes sense. Like I've talked about that a few times. But yes, lots and lots of light and food, and I think a rich substrate helps. You don't have to have it, but an ADA aqua soil, a Fluval stratum, a Dennerle, Oliver knot, like basically a clay-based plant soil, has a lot of nutrients in it and can help you get it started. Once it's going, it's pretty easy to keep going. But that initial my roots aren't really ready to grow and I'm struggling and I was growing out of water, that's where a lot of people fail. But once it's going, it's kind of easy. And the other thing to watch out for is algae kind of infesting into it where, you got low flow, because as it really grows in tight, the water doesn't flow as well through there, and so you can get algae pockets going. So, all right, let's grab another super chat here. Bradley Augustin, what kind of plants should I use when my guppies are pregnant? Please do the next question. Things with lots of little jazz hands on them. So things like Java Fern Wendelov would work well. Pogostemon stellatus octopus, which the key word there is that octopus part. It's got all these little tentacles. Hornwort is great. Elodia or Anacris, if it's legal where you're at. Water Sprite. Water Sprite's really good too, both floating and as a stem plant. And then water lettuce is what I was getting to in my mind, but I said Water Sprite. Any of those would work well. I would say density. You could use fake plants. You can use almost anything you want, but something that's fairly dense so that babies can get into the needly leaves or whatnot, and then the adults have a harder time getting there. I would say those are important qualities of a good plant to have. And, obviously, time to plug myself. You can buy most of that stuff on our website or other websites, or your local store. I always recommend that as well. So, alrighty. $10 from Jessica at Pierre Ford. All right. Keep up the awesome. All right. And I'm coming to you, Jessica, if I ever need to buy a Ford. So, because I've already got $10 off, apparently. Jeff Rose Fish Keeping. If you don't know, this guy does, I want to say it's 2 or 3 live streams a week now. Kind of a smaller base fish fam group. You can go and hang out. And a lot of times I'll listen in and do work. And people always go, well, I don't think you're really there. I am there, but the problem is when I start oh, cool, man, yeah, that's really cool. All of a sudden, 40 people at Aquarium Co-op, and then they get angry if I don't respond to them. And so if I'm in the middle of ordering product or something, I don't want to get sidetracked for 2 hours talking to people. And it's not that I don't want to talk to you guys. It's that, then it's either I can't listen at all, or I need to, and work, or I can work and listen and kind of keep up, but, not make my presence known. So I like to hang out over there. Jeff Rose. He's got a soothing voice, just kind of an even keeled, not harsh, and there's no swearing or anything that I can remember, so you don't have to worry about who's listening. Gerald Wallace donating $5 for a taco. That's right. Hopefully we'll go out for tacos in New Jersey. Hopefully there's somewhere good, because in Chicago, there wasn't. I'm going to grab another, I guess, I don't know what to call these comments. Queued up? Yeah, queue it up. That's what I'm calling it. Let's see here. Let's send this one. From LG3 Nation. Any tips on keeping new autos alive or finding healthy ones? About 5 for my tank that looked healthy, round full bellies, but they died within a week. So a couple things could be going on. One, if you haven't read the article about Otocinclus, the wonder catfish, on the blog, which, by the way, if you guys don't know, we're publishing blog posts twice a week now. Go there, because it's going to be a more in-depth about what I'm about to say, because I've written an article on this. But basically, the methods used to collect Otocinclus are sometimes a little unscrupulous and makes them a little bit weaker. So there's that. But barring that, my advice is get them the day that your store gets them. So kind of the path that an Otocinclus takes, someone collects it sometimes with some bad ways. Then it goes to a holding facility kind of in Peru somewhere. It's going to sit there for like a week, and there's going to be no algae. Then we're going to ship it across the world. It's going to land in America somewhere if you're in America. And then it's going to sit in another tank with like no food for up to a week or two. Then we're going to ship it to a store, and we're going to land like 50 of them in a 10-gallon tank. And if there was algae, there's not after about 2 minutes. So then they're hungry there. And so you can run into them being super duper hungry. So my advice is to, one, buy it when the season is like, how do I want to say it? Like in session. So like winter and all that kind of stuff, keep it moving so that stock is continually moving. In the middle of summer, it moves a lot slower, right? Like, okay, we'll import 5,000 Otocinclus. We're only selling 500 a week. Oh, you've had them for 10 weeks. So I would do something like that. And then when you get them home, hopefully you have an algae-filled tank at the store. We get a lot of critics like, oh, when are you going to clean that tank? And it's the next tank we're dropping Otocinclus into. So we're trying to get them food. Then we're trying to get them on Repashy. If we had time, you can grow algae on rocks. So take like some aquarium water and like dump it into like a little trough and put some boulders in there and let it sit in the sun. And as that grows algae, you can take those and rotate them into the tank and rotate ones from the tank out. And that's a horrible pain, but that's kind of the stopgap until you can like, oh, sweet, we got them under Repashy and I'm growing enough algae now, and that kind of stuff's going on. So I know it's kind of a long-winded answer, but I describe it better and that kind of stuff in that article. Because some things, it's hard to remember all little points and be like, oh yeah, I didn't show a picture of this part and that kind of stuff. So a lot of new members join in. Let me hit the button again. Oh, I was gonna ruin it again. See, I gotta build it in so that goes away. And then if you want to become a member, look at that thing. No, but it looks like we got KG Tropicals, which is good to see John back. We've been talking behind the scenes. I've been egging him on for probably 2 years. Like, come on back, man. To be fair, I think he was only gone for like 14 months, but he was gone like 9 months before that. So it's been like 2 years. I've been egging him to come back, and now he's back. He's making videos. If you guys don't know, KG Tropicals helped me get a start originally, and he used to hang out on his live streams, and he does live streams as well. And so good buddies. He's also going to be at the Aquatic Experience, which will be super fun. I've never met him in person, so I gotta play a joke and pretend I don't know who he is when he shows up. So also new members, we have Brian Schurman. Yes, it's far away. So I was trying to decide if that was 2 M's and 2 N's or an R M and 2 N's. So thank you for squadding up, if you will. Play some video games later. And then we've got Redneck Aquatics. I've never checked your channel. I'm assuming with a name like Redneck Aquatics, you've got a channel associated. I'm going to put that back in my Brian and see if I can't remember to check that out later. And then we've also got Eric25. Welcome to the team. And I know we've got some more super chats and we've got more good comments. I'm going to get to them all. I want to talk about an idea with you guys. Ooh, first I want to hit this button. I want to hit a button and try it. I can't get it to work quite right, so bear with me, guys. But let me hit this bad boy. I need everyone to... I realized, I went to Vid Summit, and I realized when you're live streaming, you got to ask people to like the video more than once, because I know, and I found out, well, we know that like 3,000 to 4,000 people will watch this live stream before it's even over, right? but they will only have like 500 likes. That's because you guys are only watching like 20 minutes. And if I only say it once in a 2-hour segment, you forget to hit the like button. Or here's my plea: hit the like or the dislike button. Either one, but place your vote. But I wanna get this little thing going. Let me hit it. Boom! Look at that. You could like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Speaking of notifications, you could go to the website, which I know it's super risky because you might lose all your money there while you're buying stuff. But we do have a push notification thing that pops up. You know, one of those things at the top that pops up that's like, hey, we want to spam the crap out of you? Yeah, we got one of those. And if you do sign up, we're letting you know when videos come out and when live streams go on. And I know you're going to go, I signed up for that. I didn't get one for this. That's definitely true. But I didn't want to send like 3,000 people a notification to come to this train wreck. Like if we didn't have audio working and everything wasn't working, that seemed like a bad idea. So I didn't send out a notification for this one. But I kind of had to take it into my own hands. I realized that a couple weeks ago, and I thought, you know what? People that want to be notified, I need to give them a way to be notified, and that's the way we're going to do it. And so if you want to know what's going on, you know, that's the way to do it. If you want to know sales and that kind of stuff, that's more of a newsletter thing. You know, I say this now, but everything's open for change. I'm not looking to spam you guys like, hey, it's 25% off hoodies and t-shirts, which someone asked earlier. I think I set that to go till the end of the month, but the word unboxing gets you 25% off t-shirts and hoodies. You know, if you want to show up in your Aquarium Co-op gear and rock it hard at Aquatic Experience, and we'll show those vendors who's boss, which I'm trying to do. Go ahead and order something up. That'd be cool. But yeah, I'm not really trying to use it to like just spam that out, because I mostly just want it to be like the communication of like, hey, a new video's out. Hey, we're going to go live. Hey, there's something like extra special. I don't know what that extra special is because it hasn't happened yet. You know, like maybe my dogs have puppies or something, even though that's impossible, but that'd be pretty special. So, yeah. All right. Super chatties are stacking up. I will say I'm considering this, and so whenever I consider something, people always try and hold me to it, but I am considering turning all super chats into there's a new feature on YouTube, and that allows me to defer all my super chats to a charity. And so I haven't done a lick of work yet. I just noticed I got the option when I made this live stream today. So I go, oh, that's interesting. And so I might find something, and I know that whatever I say here, because I have an audience of 200,000 people, whatever I say will be incorrect. Like I just know that. And I know people will come out of the WordWorks saying, did you know this charity is doing X and that makes them bad, and X and X and X? Yes. So all that aside, without doing any research, so, let that sink in. I've done no research, but it would be nice to give to a charity that we think are doing good things. And I haven't done any research, so I don't know. But let's say a Make-A-Wish Foundation, or there's some kind of Amazon project, or something that we might care about as a fish community. That might be super cool. So I'm thinking about that. So we'll see how that goes. That's kind of the thinking lately. I gotta catch up. All right, let's hop into some more super chats. I'm gonna try to burn through this a little bit. Joel says, thank you, Candy Overhauls, with $2. And he's got the GoFundMe /Caleb Overhauls. If you don't know, Caleb is a young man. Yeah, I'd say young man. I believe he's 8 now. With leukemia, he's been battling it nonstop. At least in my fishy career here online, at least 3 years now, and he's still fighting through it. And we do little fun. I don't want to say fundraisers. Yeah, I guess a little fundraiser event to help them out. I don't want to go through the whole story, but it's one of those classic scenarios that a kid gets sick, ends up essentially ruining a whole family's lives, lost a house, that type of thing. Bad situation. But we try and help out when we can. So if there's something like, if you're, going, dang it, I need to donate some money because I got way too much money laying around, that'd be a good place to maybe think about it and weigh your options. I don't want to push everyone there because, hey, I'm not trying to spend your money. I'm just saying there's a thing that might be a thing. We've got a... Where am I? Oh, you guys have spent so many super chats, I scrolled it off the page. That's how far behind I am. I'm trying. See, this is a catch-22 I get caught into. like the money is awesome, and I kind of want to put it towards a charity, but I also don't want to avoid people that don't have money, right? So I'm conflicted, but thank you for the money, and I'm gonna try to do the best I can. That's all I can do. So let me get back, because I scrolled down and I know people right now are freaking out going, Joel was after me. I'm freaking out right now. So yes, we left off on Jeff Rose. We got Gerald. We have Maple Street Aquatics. How many fish tanks and guppy strains do I need in my fish room for you to come do a fish room tour? It's nice to catch you live. I think it's mostly proximity based. So if I'm in your state and it makes sense, I'll come over, because that just sounds awesome. Now, the one thing I have to be a little more careful of is we don't necessarily film everything, right? So, one, because it's a time thing. Two, sometimes there's stuff you shouldn't show on camera, or we're afraid that people will get made fun of or something like that. And obviously I know nothing about your setup, but I like to set that precedence ahead of time of like, just because we come over doesn't mean like, oh, we're 100% going to be featured on the Aquarium Co-op channel and now's my chance and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, if we're around, that'll make some sense. That being said, I am trying not to travel at all. The people around me can attest to I'm not burnt out, but it has been very, very difficult to travel this much. So I flew from midnight till 3 o'clock in the morning last night. Drove home for an hour, got in bed at 4 a.m., got back up at 10, so I slept 6 hours, and because I was at Vid Summit for a couple days, and then I fly out again for Aquatic Experience. Then I got like a month off, and then I got one more trip, and I'm trying not to do too many more trips, because the trips, if I'm being honest, have disrupted business. They've disrupted the YouTube channel. They've disrupted my life. We've gotten some really cool footage, and I know you guys are wanting to know where the China footage is and when is it coming. We're doing our best. I took a bunch. We're sorting through it. We're seeing what we can do with it. And Jimmy's been working hard. We've got a different video, like a Species Sunday video coming out on Sunday. But, yeah, the goal is, like, my overall goal is, like, how do I get back to where I was at, like, 40,000 subscribers, right? That's, like, been one of my thinkings, like, the last few weeks of, like, life was pretty good at 40,000 subscribers. I felt like I was really in tune with the community, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, and I'm not saying life's bad now. Like that's, I need to be, real here. Like my worst days are still pretty good. I don't want to portray something that it's not. But if I'm looking towards how do I make Corey's life the best, and how do I make the best content, and how do I interact with you guys the best, I think that's lightening up on the traveling a little bit, getting some more fish tanks installed, ordering more fish. Like you guys don't know it, but there's 2 goldfish that are like this big that just landed yesterday. That's, out of town again. Big shocker. Like I have fish land when I'm not even here. They weren't supposed to ship them though. So I don't want to name that company's name, but they got a big old thing on their website that says they won't be shipping till next week. Guess what? The fish already came. So, but yes. So I've been thinking, what do we call ourselves if we're going to be a community again? So that's kind of why I put the community fish chat back together. Is I want to do this. If you guys have been around for a while, those of you that have been here for years, you'll know that I pretty much did a live stream every Sunday like clockwork for a very, very, very long time, like 100+ episodes. Like out of 100 episodes, I think we missed like 5 Sundays, which that's like 2 years. So I want to get back to that, and I know that doing it today, I'm instantly going to miss next Friday because I'm at the Aquatic Experience. But from then on, I expect to be very regular, and because of kind of getting away from the live streams and stuff and interacting with you guys, I feel like we've kind of lost the wrangling or the stranglehold we had on the Fish Fam. So we used to be the Fish Fam as kind of a group and that kind of stuff, but now there's like a Facebook group that's Fish Fam that's not like related to Fish Fam at all. I mean, I don't want to say none of them are, but like, we had hashtag Fish Fam, and then there's just Fish Fam, and I'll say this, it's not the happy-go-lucky group of people I like to hang out with. I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm just saying they're a little more rambunctious. I hang out there, it's great, but it's still not what we were trying to foster. So yeah, we're gonna put a little. I think I've got one of the mods came up with a good thing, and I think he called us the cooperatives, as in, you know, like co-op, but then operatives. And I've got a idea for a little funny logo, like as Jimmy thought of, maybe a panda koi. I wanted like a fish that like kind of looked like a ninja, or like an army guy or something with like the black stuff under their eye. And then like the whole thing would be that like we're like a street team that goes and helps people. Like, oh, you need your tank moved, and oh, you need help online, and you know, be like operatives that like are truly helpful and that kind of stuff. And so I'm gonna work on it a little bit, spinning around in the old brain. If you've got other great ideas, let me know in the comments. Like, not this chat box, because I won't get to see it, but down below after it uploads, if you've got like the perfect name, like, oh man, you guys should be the Corridorables, you know, or something like that. I'm all ears. We're at a phase at the moment, but we're at a phase. No, we're at we're at a point where we can still choose something, and we could always default back to the fish fam. But I think we might be able to come up with something cool. I don't want to say better or cooler, something funnier maybe. Yeah. So I know a lot of ranting there, but that's what I'm looking to do again. I'm looking to give more insight to what I'm thinking about, what I'm doing, and answer questions. And I think every once in a while I'll put on a presentation. Like, this software's got the ability to really bring in PowerPoint and all that kind of stuff, but I honestly was dreading those. Like, the amount of work. I'd be like, okay, I gotta get this ready, I gotta do this, and then I gotta talk for at least 30 minutes, then I gotta answer questions about that topic, and then I gotta make sure that we get we get this done and this done and this done all within an hour, and it was a real rush. Like, that was a little bit stressful. So as you could tell by the amount, I would end up be sweating by the time I was done. All right, so Simply Betta, haven't seen you in a while. Ooh, she's got a question for 999. Horde or Alliance? See you guys at the Aquatic Experience. Well, I'm just going to say this. If you played Alliance, you're a bad person. Horde, always. Part of it is, in my opinion, this is a World of Warcraft thing for those that are listening. The undead had an advantage for a very long time. With the undead race, you got 2 fear breaks and that kind of stuff. And I only play games like that to play competitively, as in like player versus player. And even with, even as a tank, having the extra fear break was still beneficial for raiding and that kind of stuff. But yes, definitely was on the Horde side. All right, so we got caught up to Joel. All right. Cassandra Fish Zen. My daughter bought me several types of aquarium plant seeds. I've never grown from seed. Okay. So, if they're like I have some around, but if they're like a little vial of seeds, you can buy them on eBay and that kind of stuff. You can't like have an aquarium filled with water and just dump them in for that type. You need to like drain the water and sprinkle them on top, and they'll like germinate and sprout. And then once they grow roots, and you can get them, you need to do the dry start method essentially. And if you don't know what that is, you got to look it up. If you Google aquarium dry start method, then you can start going from there. You're going to learn about flooding the aquarium after you do that. Those seed vials and stuff like that, they're very popular on the subreddit called Jarrarium. And that's a cool thing to geek out on if you guys never geeked out on that. It's basically, the concept is how cool or how much fun or how much time can I kill with like a mason jar and a little bit of money. Like, oh, I'm going to put some ADASO in here and sprinkle some of these seeds, and then like, oh, I got this dope piece of Sieryu stone that's this big, we're going to drop in there, and then I'm going to let a pest snail live in there and just kind of, enjoy it for what it is. And so yeah, you could, hang out there and learn. They really were geeking out about it for a while. That's where I learned about them, actually. So but if you had like Barclaya seeds or Apontagitans, that kind of stuff, you could grow those wet. So, but I doubt you bought those unless you're buying bulbs. And if so, that's a different question. We'll go down that rabbit hole when we get there, because that's a whole sidebar. All right. Miss the days of your daily doses. I don't get my Cory addiction satisfied these days. Jimmy makes it a little easier, but I still need more of you. I gotta say, the daily dose was the closest time I was ever to quitting. As in quitting YouTube. And it wasn't like it was too hard. It just was not fun. I don't enjoy failing. And there were days that we would just fail because of travel or things going wrong or that kind of thing. And it put a tremendous amount of stress even on my wife, just because, you know, like for instance, I know on Wednesday, like the day before I go to Chicago, she wanted to go see a movie, and I said, yes, let's go see a movie. But in the Daily Dose series, that can never happen. Like, it would just be, nope, I have to film, you know that. Every day, I have to film, you know that. And a lot of people think, like, well, you only put Daily Doses out 5 days a week, right? Yes, but enough things go wrong, you end up filming 7 days a week. And if you can imagine getting the flu or a cold or something like that. And so, you know, the goal is quality over quantity. And I think, in my opinion, if I really put my brain on it, what people miss from the Daily Dose is the looseness of it, so that you could just see like, oh man, look, Corey's playing with stuff and doing things, as opposed to a very structured video. And so I'm not sure that we need it every single day, as opposed to more of that style of video, which I can appreciate. I get it. And the more we learn about YouTube and the more YouTube learns and changes, we'll be able to accommodate that. I feel like now things have adapted enough that we can do a live stream like this. We can have a little bit more fun, and it won't necessarily negatively impact the channel, which is good. It's great that they're moving towards that. On YouTube in general, there is a huge like creator burnout movement, the treadmill effect, where people are just burning out and their lives are getting horrible. And so YouTube is actively working. How can we make it so that it's not you mess up once, now you suffer for a month to get back to where you were? So, but yes, yeah, the more day in the life of type of stuff, I think could be good. Oh man, Diet Coke makes me burp. Okie dokie. Marshall Bullard came and became a member. Thank you very much. Liam's with $5. Sniper dude. The pH of my 55 is at 8.5. I'm soaking some driftwood and dosing pH down while I wait for it, but it keeps going back up. I also don't have any rocks that add minerals. So in my opinion, pH down is a giant scam. That's just my opinion. I know there's people out there that swear by it. I've never had great success with it. In my opinion, there's 2 decent ways to lower pH. One of them is like set up a tank and let acidification take effect. So every time basically waste gets converted from ammonia to nitrate, creates a little bit of acid in the water, and you do that months at a time, it'll bring that pH down. And then you do very small water changes, and it kind of goes up a little bit, and then kind of stays low, right? So that's one way you could do it. Plants help a little bit with that. The other way is an RO unit. In, you know, that if you don't know, you're going to basically process your water before you put it in there. Those are the only 2 ways that I think you can reliably keep safe water for fish. That's just my own personal opinion. So unfortunately, I don't think you can get there with just wood, and you're kind of spinning your wheels at the moment. Like you're pedal to the metal, but you're not going anywhere. So, you know, I think you might just be wasting time, and so you got to figure out, do I A, really want to move where this water is, or B, do I want to keep fish that will love this water? And I myself go towards that. There are a lot of fish, even if you're into community fish, that can still go in there. A lot of fish are very, very adaptable. So I would tell you, like, oh man, just work with the water you got. Life's easy and it'll be good. Like, if I had that water, I would be the live bearer king. I would. Twin City Guppies became a member. Thank you very much. Let me hit that member button. I don't even need to do the sound effect. Already has it. Daryl Dimer. He's coming to Aquatic Experience. That is awesome, Daryl. I hope to see you there. I hope someone puts together a good dinner hangout, because I know it's crazy at the booth, at least in Chicago. Maybe no one shows up to New Jersey, and then will this be like 10 nerds hanging out? It'd be awesome, but I have a feeling it's going to be swamped. So, you know, get there early and bring me candy. Ooh, wow. Okay, I scrolled down. A lot. Caroline Epler with a $20 super chat. Dang, girl. Hope you're doing well. From my rescue dogs to yours. Yes, my dogs. Believe it or not, my dogs miss me a lot. My wife can attest to that. I got in bed at 4 o'clock in the morning, and 2 dogs spent 45 minutes licking my arm. They miss me, and they sleep differently when I'm not there and that kind of stuff. And they're as close to the things we'll ever, well, I won't say ever, but that we have as kids. Like, we baby them a lot and spend a lot of time with them. So, You know, they are codependent on us for sure. And we went to China where we were both out of town and that kind of stuff. So we just been running around. Jessica became a member. Thank you so much. As well as Jesse and Wichita Falls Fishkeeper. I feel like I haven't seen Wichita Falls Fishkeeper around in a while. Like, I used to see it all the time in the live streams, but maybe you just don't have much to say in the chat, or maybe I'm missing it. I could be missing you, and I apologize for that. So, Flip Nation 23. I've got a bucktooth Tetra tank. I need a bottom feeder that can clean my tank. What do you recommend with the Tetras? I would go snails. Get Malaysian trumpet snails. They will keep your tank spick and span. Even if an Exodon ate one, wouldn't even be a problem. And, you know, if you make way too many of them, you can sell them to us. So that is one thing. If you have an insane amount of Malaysian trumpet snails, we could probably use some. So if you're out there and you're like, man, I got a bunch of 1-inchers. We don't pay much. We pay like a quarter for them or whatever. But, yeah, if you can get them to us alive and you've got just a factory of them, good talk. Always need more. Well, not technically always, but most times. Ginger is in the chat. I've missed the live chats, so it'd be nice having them back again. Safe travels. Yes, I missed them too, and I miss the 2-hour version, at least currently. If I burn out, then we'll go to 1 hour, but I missed the 2-hour version because I feel like we answer a ton of questions in the first hour, and then we'd get a little silly in the second hour, and I always had a lot of fun doing that, so... All right. Okay, I'm close to the end, so then I can answer all these other questions. Good. John Kakong? It's almost like Donkey Kong. John Kakong. By the light of a loon. Yes. Also, what server were you on EQ1? Thanks for the meds. Oh, med video. In EverQuest 1, I was on, mostly on Karana. That was the server I played on a bunch. I mean, there was a little bit other, but that was the main fort, if you will, the main home. 54 Punchy became a member. Mandolin FSU, been around a long time. These guys have. I appreciate it. Became a member. And while I'm thinking about it, I know there's still more super chats to get to. I will get to them. While I'm thinking about it, I believe I'm going to close down the Patreon. So I've got some more gifts to send out. Like at the $55 level, there was kind of like get the wacky gift of the month thing. And like I'll probably put up another discount code for those people and that kind of stuff. But knowing that I'm planning on not traveling very much at all and our gear level, I don't see us needing gear anytime really soon. Like we're kind of up to par on gear that we need to make the videos. That extra income that I was relying on you guys to help crowdsource, yeah, I'd have to find a way to spend it. And so my plan is to phase that out at the end of the month. So like, you know, get rid of it before it charges you guys in November. And then if you want to support or just say thank you or do whatever you want to do, go ahead and become a member here. That's my plan. It could go horribly wrong, or people could get super pissed, or I forgot about something like. But that's, you know, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh, I don't need that money because we're not trying to travel a bunch, and equipment, we kind of reached that, so it makes sense. Because I was getting accused of not using the money for that, and trust me, we spent way more money traveling and doing things and on equipment to do this kind of stuff than not. But yeah, and I don't want to split the content up, and I know we fell behind on doing the second bloopers. Or not second, but like last month we didn't do a bloopers reel, and I feel bad, and I don't like disappointing people, and so I will do what I can to remedy that. So if you're super angry about that, send me an email. I'll try and do what I can, and we'll go from there. All right. Why can't I sell to Europe, asks Flota. Some stone plants and easy green, since I think the plants will survive the travel with it easily. Okay, so there's a few things at play. Like with a live plant... when they travel from country to country, they need permits. So I can physically send you a plant. You just won't be able to get it through customs unless you've pulled the correct permits. And so every time let's say there's 20 customers, each customer has to pull their own permit and get it approved and all that kind of stuff. So it becomes an expensive / pain in the butt type of thing. Fertilizer, depending on which country it's going to, needs different like analysis and approval and that kind of stuff. So fertilizer, aka could be like a bomb, or we're scared of that. What's in it? So that's kind of hard. The rock, yeah, I probably could, but the shipping becomes the crazy part. Like, oh, you want 30 pounds of rock? It's $300 a ship, 30 pounds of rock apparently to there. So it becomes that. And then there's the whole, how do you, well, I know how it's done, but it becomes difficult to start educating people. Like, okay, Canada, you can buy this stuff. Okay, Germany, you could get this, but not that. Okay, France, you can get this. Okay, the UK, you could buy that. Like, it becomes really difficult to figure out the laws and where stuff can go and all that kind of stuff. So that mostly we take a hands-off approach from that and go, okay, well, we got to get someone in Europe that wanted to be like an Aquarium Co-op distributor type thing. But yeah, it's a logistical nightmare that we haven't been able to figure out yet. Trust me, I would love to sell to the whole world. Like, yeah, I'm working on some ways. There's some new products coming out. Amazon at Vid Summit, I learned about Amazon's got a new program called like Amazon Collab, and basically they're a t-shirt printing business and that kind of stuff that is in the UK, it's in like Canada, I think, and the US, and they're expanding everywhere, and their goal is to do something like that, at least help that kind of stuff happen. But we'll see. Like, it's always like, well, how's it implemented? Red Hook ate my baby. $5. What happened with the Real Fish Talk podcast? I killed them so hard. Essentially. Basically, not enough people showed up to make it worth our time, which I want to qualify that by, it's not necessarily like, oh, we're not making money. It becomes a thing of, if I can come live on here and 12,000 people watch, and we go live over there and only 6,000 people watch, why wouldn't I just go live on here? Yeah. So kind of came down to something like that. Also, we did travel an insane amount. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do one this Tuesday. I could do one next Tuesday, but the 2 Tuesdays before that, I was in China. So there's, 3 out of 4 Tuesdays we weren't even in town. And then you got the fact that, like, Joel has got a baby coming out, like, any minute. So, like, that's obviously, I mean, it's not going to stop us from doing it. But at the same time, if you have something that's like, this is a fun thing, but it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense at the moment. And it made sense to cut it, basically. Like, out of all the things we were doing, I look at it and I go, well, I need to free up some time for family, just anything, right? And so that's how I thought I would free it up. And so I'm the one that put the kibosh on that. I just said, you know what? It's like a time invested to return. It is the worst of my week at the moment. We can always bring it back. I will always do an episode. We still have a studio for when people are in town. That we love that. I will make time to do that. Like, even though we were like done with the Real Fish Talk episodes, we did one with Chris Lukup. We will always do that. That's always a good time. We're always gonna have people over. That's gonna happen. But the random Tuesday, what do you want to talk about? Oh, Joel, you did 3 live streams last week. Oh, I did 1. This is another one. Like, it was just like hard to come up with topics. And so, yeah, if we're gonna put blame me, make me the horrible person, and we'll move on. Doesn't mean it doesn't mean it couldn't ever come back. It was just one of those, fleeting things of like, like the viewership was going down instead of up. And so, yeah, we were in the middle of summer and that kind of stuff, but that's the 100% real true answer right there. A lot of traveling helped doing that. All right. Ooh, I just heard that Corinne's watching, my little niece. If you ever watched that video where we set up a tank for my niece, she's watching. She's getting old now. And by old, I mean she's like, I don't know, probably 8 or something. Okie dokie. We are at Snowflake, became a member. Sniper Dude. Ooh, he's back with another $5. I have a South American cichlid with tiger multiple South American cichlids with tiger barbs, and a couple dwarf puffers, a blue Amistus cat. My only real worry is the pH and the tiger bar for the tiger barbs. Oh, don't even sweat that, man. So that's back to the first question of my pH is 8.5. How do I bring it down? man, tiger barbs, bulletproof. I've kept them with African cichlids before. I mean, take everything with a grain of salt. Don't listen to me. I'm crazy. But if I was just trying to keep tiger barbs, don't even sweat it, buddy. I wouldn't even think twice. I would just be like, yeah, those things are built out of, like, bullets themselves. That's what makes them bulletproof. So, yeah, wouldn't sweat it. All right, we're getting new member crazy. Let me hit the button. I need, like, I can't wait because I get to do, like, a crazy, like, I want the whole, like, boom, and like a laugh track and like stupid stuff like that. But I like to be able to hit buttons because it's a new gadget thing. It just looks like this. It makes me look like, oh, look, you could push a button and things could happen. I want like a laser light show and a dive. But if you want to become a member, that's how you do it. But thank you to Popsicle, Lee Cordova, Kara Witt, Chris. Ooh, it's almost like Beichler. Yeah, thank you guys for joining and becoming a member. Costs you $5 a month, and you get to become a snail and your name turns green. Like, that's pretty cool. Red Hook ate my baby. It's been thinking of setting up a brackish tank. Would you consider brackish to be closer to freshwater or saltwater when it comes to difficulty and effort? I think it's closer to saltwater, only because I really hate mixing salt and using a hydrometer. That's the only, like, if I'm mixing salt, like, to any salinity, I may as well go full on saltwater. I mean, you might be like, oh man, I gotta keep mud skippers or something. There might be a fish you have to have. But if it wasn't that, I'd go, full saltwater if I was gonna do that. And I don't go full saltwater because I hate mixing saltwater. So I consider it to be more like saltwater. I think it is a little bit easier because I don't think there's as many diseases as prevalent in brackish. So I do think it's easier than that. I think it's harder than fresh, but not as hard as salt. That would be my verdict, if you will. All right, let's jump straight back into these cool questions here. Oh, apparently I've had that one on the screen for forever. All right, let's go to, let's see, it's from the bottom up here, so I got to go. I wonder why it shows that when everyone misses RFT. Oh, check out the Randy Reed Aquarius podcast. Yes, definitely. I think Jimmy sent that one. He just sent it. He's got that ability. He can snipe me like that. But yes, there is the Randy Reed podcast. We do put this out on a podcast. We have the Aquarium Co-op app that even goes to this podcast. We even sponsored the Randy Reed podcast. So there's that. But yes, he's interviewing people and he's kind of doing what we wanted to do, but without the video portion. So we really want the video portion because I think it's really important. But he's a good listen. He's really good at interviewing people, so he's got that, and he's got a good radio voice. So, all right, let's queue up this one. Okie dokie. Monica Brown, how do you travel 6 to 7 hours by car with fish? My recommendation is pack them just like you would at a fish store. Bag, air it up. If you got an air pump, air it up with that. That's easy enough. Tie it with a rubber band. And, stock them sparingly. So maybe in a bag this big, you got 10 or 15 tetras. And then you've got like a 1 pleco, and split them up and put them in I like to put them in buckets. So that way they kind of don't want to move and they don't want to slosh around. Like the bucket just kind of holds them in place. You could put multiple buckets. And sometimes there's rocks at the bottom or something. That's how I like to do it. Just keep them from getting way too hot or way too cold. Keep them, like if you're comfortable in your car, they're comfortable in your car for the most part. There might be like some rams or some discus that might get a little cool, but otherwise 6-7 hours, kind of not a big deal. And I would just, load them up and get them on the road with you. All right. Oh, I skipped one, but I'll get it. Don't worry. Manny asking, where did I get that neon fish sign? Yeah, you like that? That's my neon tetra. You get it? Neon tetra. Where's my laugh track? Dang it. I got on eBay. I think it was like $50 or $60, including shipping. They shipped it from China. And I ordered it like 3 o'clock in the morning one night while I was having trouble sleeping. And then it didn't come for like a long, long time. And I was like, oh, maybe I never hit the last button on eBay or something. Like, oh, well, I guess I don't need it. And then it showed up like way later. And I was like, oh, sweet, it did show up. So, yeah, I've got my neon tetra. How you like that? All right. Next up, we've got LB. Can you have a nano community? And if so, what would I have in it? I would probably do a group of rasboras, probably chili rasboras. I think they look the awesomest. Then I would do pygmy hatchetfish up top, or clown killies. I'd do clown killies. I'm lying. I'd do clown killies. So I'd have them up top. And then I would do Corydoras hastatus probably. They might swim mid-school or mid-water, but I would do those. And if it was me doing a nano community, I'd probably do like a 29-gallon or something and just load it up with lots of cool stuff. Like I kind of want some rosy loaches in there. I would probably have another school of fish that wasn't red. So maybe I've got like green neons, and then I've got Brigitae rasboras, and then I've got clown killies and those pygmy hatchets up top. Yeah, I would probably do a bunch of that kind of stuff, and mix in some shrimp and snails and all that kind of stuff too. All right. This one comes in from Motor Mikey. How close is the Fahaka puffer to your Maboo puffer in relation? Like care requirements wise? I would say for most people, they're fairly similar in terms of care. The Maboo obviously gets much larger, but like if you've kept a Fahaka puffer till it was like 14 inches and it's done really well for you for a couple of years at that size, then you're ready for a Maboo puffer. They're like the temperament is night and day. Usually Maboo puffers are real laid back and Fahaka puffers not so much. But otherwise, you know, shelled foods and susceptibility to illness and the vision and all the things are pretty comparable. So I would say if you can be successful long term with a Fahaka puffer, you'll be successful with a Maboo puffer. You know, obviously there's an insane amount of things I'm glossing over there, but you know, as quick as a statement as that could be true, then that's how that is. Alrighty. This one comes from El Flower Stars. Do you need to quarantine a zebra snail, and for how long? So this is kind of one of those questions that you always have to say like, well, yeah, you should. But in practice, I never quarantine snails, essentially, except for the rarest of rarest cases. I wouldn't worry about it. There's not that many things that they carry over. They can carry some over. I know there's already people like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. They can carry X, Y, and Z. That is technically true, but it is so rare that I'm not sure it's a good use of people's time to set up a quarantine tank and possibly treat with meds and possibly kill another living animal to prevent another animal from getting sick with something we could treat. You get it? Like, it's just kind of one of those like, yeah, I'll be fine. It's kind of like, here's my best analogy that makes no sense now I think about it, but I'd say you've got like the same risk level of like mowing your own lawn without safety glasses on. Like, yeah, I mean, you're probably just going to be fine. Like, oh, I heard about a guy lost his eye because a rock flew out of the side of that thing, bounced off a house and hit him in the eye, knocked it right out. Like, yeah, that is a crazy low chance. You know, most people just aren't going to do that. They'll put sunglasses on because like, oh, it's sunny, but I think your odds are like, oh, man, that's a crazy story. I can't believe that happened type of odds. All right, we've got $1.99 from Manon Thacker. I love the podcast. Well, great. I'm glad you're listening. Liam's Airbrush. Tips on breeding and sexing cardinal tetras. Oof. I don't know. That's actually just me being lazy mostly. But to be fair, I don't know specific ways to sex them other than like body size. And that's going to be really hard to show without pictures. And then as far as breeding them goes, they're an egg scatterer, very tiny fry. Open to debate whether the eggs are light sensitive. You need to have the pH lower. You need to put them in the morning, get them to breed. Like, there's a lot of steps to do it. This comes back to that category of like, you should breed anything else in the world except for cardinal tetras and then buy cardinal tetras. It's kind of one of those types of scenarios. Let's see, who's blowing me up here? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my wife just said redneck aquatics. I have no idea what that means. I mean, obviously I know what it means, but I don't know why she'd be telling me that. And then let's see. My store might be burning down here. Oh, nope. It's just my dumpster at the store is full and my employees are angry. I wonder if I can show that picture. Yeah. So I don't know if I can show you guys. Make sure it's not gonna look horrible, but My employees are, oh, I'm moving the volume, but my employees are angry because that's the recycle bin at the shop. Why is that staying there like forever? Turn down volume. Let me show you again. So this is horrible for the podcasters, by the way. But yeah, so that picture right there, that's our recycling bin. And, you know, I kind of got a WTF from my managers going, like, how are we going to recycle? Someone put a bunch of wood and styrofoam into there. Yep. That's just going to make our jobs harder. So that's unfortunate. Alrighty, Roo. So we got a $5 super chat. Better ways to deal with waste from a rhino pleco. It's in a 90-gallon with sand substrate using a turkey baster to spot clean and gravel vac once a week. You know, they're just going to make a lot of waste. I don't know what else is in there, but something like a Jurapari, like an earth eater or a goldfish, they'll kind of re-eat it a bunch and kind of keep whipping it up to get it into filtration. You could use power heads to also help you do that, but it's not going to get rid of it. It's just going to help get it into a garbage, you know, or a collection point. So think of it like, you know, think of it like a Roomba. Like, oh, it's going to help get it. So you guys still got to empty the Roomba or whatever. Like, I don't own a Roomba, but I'm assuming it's like it helps, but, you know, it's like, well, you still got to clean the Roomba. Same thing. You got a garbage can. It's like it's put in a garbage can. You still got to take out the garbage. So, John Kakong is now a member. Let's hit the button. Whoosh. Oh, it's behind the other screen. I really got to fix that in the next one. Alrighty. Let's answer this one from Kirk Humphreys. Do I need to dechlorinate a farm tank with no fish? That is an interesting question to think about. So I'm assuming like a plant farm tank. And I would say probably if you have very high levels of chlorine or chloramines in the water. But light amounts of chlorine, you know, I don't think you would need to. I'm trying to, my brain is like searching through like, well, you don't really need bacteria. You don't really need, like, it might even help take away some of the algae. I would lean towards, well, especially if you're doing smaller water changes, or you might not even do water changes at all, but maybe just top off. If it's like under 10%, you probably wouldn't. I'm not going to say you probably don't have to, because that's going to get someone in trouble. I'm going to say, at very small water changes, I would see what would happen. Like, oh man, totally melted down, or oh, we're fine. I would run that experiment with small amounts if I knew I had just high levels of chlorine. Chloramine is going to stick around for like ever. So that you're just kind of like, well, just put a few drops in there. Alrighty. This one comes in from LB. My top 3 favorite Anubias for a planted community tank. I like Anubias caffifolia a ton because it looks cool. It's got the crinkly leaf. I like Anubias nana petite because it's got a very small leaf, very distinctive. And then I like Anubias hastifolia. It's kind of got this like more of a triangle leaf on it. They get real leggy. And so between like the 3 of those, you can have like a pretty diverse looking planted tank, and it's all using Anubias species. So, you know, I like those 3, but you could talk me into golden coin, you could talk me into barterai, you could talk me, you know, I don't know if there's a bad Anubias. That's like saying, you know, what's the worst flavor of ice cream? Like, well, I mean, I guess there's some bad ones, but, you know, it depends on how bad I want ice cream. This one coming in from Shallow Waters. What's the best way to get rid of planaria worms without killing snails, fish, or plants? Yeah. So that's something I want to test. I want to test like planaria be gone. I have a feeling it's basically levamisol, but I got to test. The only way I know how to do it without jeopardizing everything else would be getting fish that will eat them. So things like gouramis and that kind of stuff are very good at picking at them and holding the food back so they want to eat them. That's how I would take care of it. Now, if you've got shrimp and stuff in there, that gets a little more hard to do, but basically hold food back so that they don't have a lot of food to eat on. And then 2, get the fish to start hunting them all the time. Do some gravel vacs, like do some little bit of manual removal. There's like planaria traps and that kind of stuff, but anytime you're doing something like without harming anything else, it makes it much more difficult. Not impossible, just more work. Alrighty. Let's see. This one comes in from... Oh, I already did that one, so we're going to do it again. Ooh, this is a good question from Bentley. Bentley Pasco, if you could have any guest on Real Fish Talk, regardless of cost, to get them on the show, who would you have and why? That's a good question. There's got to be someone... Like, I've never thought about who, like, if I could have anyone... I feel like there's a couple of good answers. I feel like I would want to have, like, I don't know who this person is yet. So for lack of knowing the right person that could really make this decision happen, some government person, whether it's, let's say, the president or just head of, like, agricultural or whoever can, like, at the highest level make this happen, like, who could help rework some of the fish laws and so that, let's say, piranha weren't illegal in Washington because they can't survive outside, and maybe Asian arowanas become legal in America. So it wouldn't, like, I'd have them on the show so that we could all ask them questions like, well, why aren't we doing that? And I think if I could have them be on the show, there'd be enough of, like, them not knowing the answers to be like, well, I don't know why we can't do that, that something could actually happen. But that seems like a pretty far-fetched scenario, because I think the question is more targeted towards, like, who in the fish hobby right now would you have on the show if you could have anyone in the world? I'm trying to think of someone that I know is super, like, interesting that would normally never be on, because there's, like, some people I'm like, I could have that like, they might come on anyway. Recently the person I met would be the guy that runs Dietzenbach the wholesaler. I feel like that guy has got a brain that we just need to be downloading. Like, we could do it once a week for like 6 months and still be like, there's more to go, keep writing. That guy knew a lot about a lot of things. But there's got to be someone, like, who... Ooh, I could think of someone I really want. Charles Clapsaddle. He runs Goliad Farm down in Texas. He's the guy that runs the wholesale facility where he breeds fish and everything, and it's all sustainable. Like, they don't do water changes. They lose 2% of their water every week due to evaporation / selling fish. And, like, their filtration is one giant sump where you walk above the water and there's, like, not mangroves, but lots of plants growing up and out of the water that scrub it clean. I think that's super duper cool, and I think bringing that to, like, the forefront of aquarium keeping would be very cool to help lead us in that direction on just a larger scale. So yeah, I think I really want to visit that guy. I've tried for years, and unfortunately he just can't avoid getting hit by, like, hurricanes and stuff, like tornadoes and hurricanes and just all the things you don't want to hit your farm. And so every time I try to line it up, it's like, well, I'm recovering from X. Oh, and now it's Y, and now it's Z, and it's not like he's making it up. Like, clearly you see the pictures and the devastation, and, you know, so it's just bad luck after bad luck. All right. From Nathan, in my experience, does Sieryu stone affect water parameters? I've only had it affect water parameters in very, very, like, smaller than 5-gallon aquariums. That being said, I tend to be a heavy water change guy, but I've never had a problem in my Planet tanks. Now, if you were very lax on water changes, maybe you did, maybe you would, but my official stance is I don't even consider Sieryu stone adding pH or hardness to the water. It's not even a consideration if I'm going to escape a tank and what fish inhabitants. That's how small of a factor it is for me. So, okie dokie. This one comes in from Popsicle. Can someone in the States carry the snail roller from Dennerle? I paid $25 in shipping from Germany. Well, if you must know, Popsicle, there may or may not be 180 of them sitting at my warehouse. That being said, I have no idea how much I paid for them yet. They got sent over, so I raised a big hubbub about them. They got sent over with the stuff that was being sent from Dennerle to the aquatic experience, and then they got shipped to me. So I have 180 of them in my warehouse, but I can't sell them yet because I have no idea how much they cost. And so I don't want to sell them way too cheap and lose money when I have to pay for them. 2, I don't want to be like, they're $50 each. Oh, turns out I should have been selling for $6. Like, so obviously I'm going to see them at the aquatic experience. I'm going to go, hey, how much were these? And then I'm going to sell them. This is the thing that I wish like this conversation is going to be happening. I wish they had consulted me first. Because I didn't know I was getting them, right? So I was like, man, these are going to sell so well in the United States. Like, I'm telling you, this thing is awesome. One, I've never played with it personally, so I'm gonna play with it before I sell it. 2, I have no idea how much it costs. And 3, I would have ordered more. I know that 200 snail catchers like that are gonna sell out in like 4 days. And then people are gonna be like, when are you gonna get more? And I know they have to come from Europe on a cargo container. And I know I don't have the money to buy a cargo container full of snail catchers, let alone I don't need 25,000 snail catchers. So there's going to be a problem there of like, well, the minute I put them on, we're going to sell them out. Then people are going to be angry. I don't have one for them. It's going to take 5 months to get more. Uh-oh. So, but yeah, that's the thing. I probably, typically when I'm testing a product out, I bring either 500 or 1,000 of them in, depending on what do I think it's going to do. We already know people are really excited from that video about them. And the first thing I would be like, send me one. Let me make sure it's awesome and I like using it. Then I can tell you exactly how many we need. So, yeah. But either way, I do have some. Sorry I had to pay $25 shipping. You could have just bought $70 worth of crud from us, and it would have been free shippings. Alrighty. E-Littles. How does someone new to the hobby distinguish good local fish stores from bad ones? All right, here's the test I would do, right? I would see how much time they're willing to give you without spending money, right? So I wouldn't necessarily, like, try to waste their time, but I would give all the indications that you're not looking to buy today. Like, oh, I'm just doing research, not really ready to buy. And I want to know about X and Y and Z. And, oh, I had a question about this. Oh, and my friend told me and. And if they keep answering all of your questions, they're probably a good local fish store. Now, a lot of you might be thinking like, well, what if they were giving all bad information? That happens all the time. I give bad information. Everyone gives bad information. But what was their intent? If their intent was, we were really trying to help you, and they spent a long time trying to make sure you're successful, I would say that's a good local fish store. Now, if they were like, yeah, you need to buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. Are you ready to buy today? Are you buying? How about we put a down payment? How about, like, that's probably a sign of like, ooh, maybe this isn't going to be a good fit. So let's say you ask them some questions and they answer them and see if you vibe with them like, okay, yeah, they're, using analogies and making sure I understand and not just, only using Latin names, even though I told them I'm a beginner. And then go home and try to Google the same question and then go, is this even in the same realm? That being said, you could just ask like any question on the internet and find 6 different answers that all disagree with each other about anything. So don't assume just because they say you can keep an Oscar in a 75 or a 55 and the internet says 75 is mandatory, that doesn't necessarily make them a bad fish store. It just means they have a difference of opinion. Oh, do you like McDonald's hamburgers? Heck yeah, I do. Oh, they're horrible. You're a horrible person for eating one. Like, well, that was someone's opinion, right? So I would say that if they'll spend a lot of time with you and you're clearly giving off the vibe you're not spending money that day, that's a really good sign. Now, you still might buy stuff at the end of the day and whatever, and, it's not like you can't spend money, but when they know that, it's not like, like your wallet's sitting there like, oh, I've got so much money. Oh, if only someone would answer my questions. But if they get, the vibe of like, okay, if they are genuine, if they're part of the cooperative, if they're on Team Aquarium Co-op cooperative and they're just out to help people, that's a good local fish store. And everyone's got good and bad days, by the way. I myself have been victim to that of like, the customer an hour before you was a real piece of garbage, and unfortunately everyone in the day is going to get, so let's say I operate at a average day, I'm 75% nice guy, let's say, and I deal with a real piece of work early in the day. I might operate at 50% the rest of the day because I want to help and please people so much. When that doesn't happen, it affects me so much that it turns me into a bad person. It weighs on me so negatively. I feel so bad about what went down there, and I get so angry that it ends up affecting the next people. So, if I'm my own case study, even I know a horrible day like that can make me go, that's not a good fish store. That guy is a jackass. So I would give them some time and see what their intentions are. If they got good intentions, they're probably doing all right. All right, let's grab another one here. From Jimin, what can you recommend to stock a 6-gallon Fluval Edge with the little bit of surface gas exchange? That's that one that has glass all the way around with a small little opening. I mean, obviously, well, I shouldn't say obvious because it's not obvious to everyone, but shrimp and snails are good candidates. Bad candidates would be anabantoids, so like bettas, paradise fish. By the way, I saw the most ridiculously dope paradise fish in China. I gotta find the right video to share it with you guys, and maybe it'll be on a live stream. But like the world competition of paradise fish, I'm gonna just say there was more paradise fish in there than I even knew existed, and they were 40 times cooler than I ever could have thought in that competition. But so don't do anabantoids. Just do like a little bit of schooling fish. Pick hardier stuff. I wouldn't necessarily do guppies. I would do like white clouds, maybe celestial pearl danios, maybe some rasboras. I wouldn't necessarily do cories. I'm trying to think what else. Those are just a difficult tank. Like that's just not impossible. You could have something that's really awesome in there. Just know that like, well, you're limited because of that, but it does look cool. So I want to do, my goal long term is to do more videos like that. Like, how do I stock a 6-gallon Fluval Edge? How do I stock this crazy thing? How do I stock a bio orb? How do I stock, like my goal going forward of the cooperative is how do I get the person that's just picked up a betta and they've got it living in this Diet Coke bottle, and how do I nurture them, not make them, how do I nurture them to want a 180-gallon planted aquarium and it's their every Saturday hobby for the rest of their life? How do I get them from, I just have a betta. I got a betta. It's good enough for me. I feed them, I clean them every once in a while, but I got a betta. How do I get that person into being a hardcore fish nerd without forcing them, without telling them they're bad, without going, what you're doing is horrible, it's going to die. I want to figure out how do I, if that's my claim to fame when I die, how did I make it so that we were able to transition people from that step, from the I'm interested in owning a pet and it's a fish to I want to do this on a weekly basis. I'm really enjoying this. That's what I've been thinking about lately is how do I, what do I do with this platform of 216,000 people? What do I use it to do? I can use it to gain money. We're doing that. I can use it to have influence. I'm trying to do that. I can use it to try and change the way things are done at companies, trying to do that. But if I myself am going to do something, I think that's what I want to try and do is how do I go from, and it's not just the betta, maybe it's a bowl and a goldfish, maybe it's just a white cloud or whatever, like just the, how do I explain what I'm thinking about? Taking it from we wanted to get a pet to we want to get a hobby. That's my goal. In a nutshell, no matter where you start, I want to take it from someone like me that just owns a dog to someone that wants to go to agility training every week. Like I want to bridge that gap. That's what I want to do for fish keeping. I don't know how to get there yet. I know how to not get there. I can't belittle people. I can't tell them what they're doing wrong. I need to nurture them towards the dark side of fish keeping hobby, right? So got to figure that out. All right, did I answer the question? I want to make sure I answered the question. We went to, yeah, I was talking about the Fluval Edge. Okay, I want to make sure I didn't tangent my way into oblivion there, which I did, but I want to make sure I answer that question. Alrighty, Roo. Let's turn that off. And by the way, you can buy stuff from aquariumcoop.com. Let's see here. Christian says, add 2-inch cichlids with my 4.5-inch peacock bass. Yes or no? If they're African cichlids, they might nip on that guy. 2, depending on what the cichlids are, in my opinion, the biggest hurdle with peacock bass is getting them to eat reliably and eat really well and take to dry food, not get outcompeted. So I wouldn't want to add things that are like gobbling up all the pellets and everything before they get to eat. That would be my biggest reservation there. So I can't answer that question because depending on the cichlid, like, a couple crebensis? Yeah, sure, I guess. But like, 2 convicts? Like, they're going to outcompete that guy for food. It's, dang it, Mr. Sunmaid with $5. Thank you very much, buddy. Ooh, Manon just got married. 2 tips. He wants 2 tips to acclimate your wife to the hobby. My first one is always, always, always breed some little baby fish. Baby fish have the best chance of bringing someone into the hobby, male or female, because like no one likes it. Like, that guy just ate the baby. No, like they get into this no, and you're like, oh well, we got to set up a little 10-gallon if we want to save him. That's a good, or you can take the stance of like, well, I'm not saving him. Let nature take its course. And then they're like, well, I'm saving him. Like, that's another, another tactic. The other one is get a very, very, very personable fish. Pufferfish work really well for that. It needs to be a one-of fish, though. It needs to be like, oh, did you check out Charlie today? Or, it has to get a name. And it's better if your wife helped you pick it out, and not just like some big bruiser cichlid that she doesn't like. Maybe she likes that, but most commonly, like the gateway solo pet fish would be something like an Oscar, a pufferfish, maybe like a big Midas, something that's like a big kind of personality fish. What I find doesn't work is like, well, let's set up a tank, at your office at work. That's just making more work for them, and they could take it or leave it, and, I got a couple of tetras or whatever. Like, that's not exciting. I think the big fish aspect or the baby fish aspect are the ways to go, in my opinion. That's my best help. Stefan, is there a resource in the States for rimless tanks and cabinets similar to the Evolution series in the UK? I don't know the Evolution series. Can I look that up? Yeah, I can look that up without everything coming to a horrible crash. Let's see here. Okay, that clearly can't be it. I gotta put aquarium in there. For everyone at home, this is gonna be horrible. You're gonna have to send me an email or something about that. I can't get to the end of that question in a timely manner without making everyone else's stream horrible. So I don't know the answer to that one, unfortunately. King of Candlesticks, how can I make my 20-gallon as stable as possible for when I travel? I was thinking about adding a 29-gallon sump underneath. Well, you could. More water in general makes things, we're spreading waste out, over more water. I personally think one of the best ways is get your tank on an auto feeder and get that going for many weeks and months before you're traveling all the time. Use live plants. That typically will help digest some of that waste. And, I don't know what your travel schedule is, but I would be trying to set up the tank so that it lived by my travel schedule whether I was there or not, right? So if I travel once a month for a week at a time, I would want it so that I'm changing water on my tank, like once a month. Maybe I do it the week before I go. Then I've got at least 3 more weeks before I need to change water. The auto feeder feeds the fish while I'm gone. Easy peasy, right? That's how I would approach that problem, is like, how long do I need to be gone? How often? And how could I design the tank to be reliant on that while I'm around to make sure nothing goes wrong? Test my water, make adjustments. And when I say make adjustments, I mean like, maybe some fish got to come out. Maybe I got to feed a little bit less. Maybe I got to switch the type of food. you know, and I need to get my light on auto, you know, a timer or whatever. Jasmine says, beta sorority, how do you feel about that? So my initial thing is, it's not a good idea. And only because I've never had success. 9 out of 10 customers I've watched and try to help haven't had success. It's not that it can't be done. It's that I don't have the right advice to give people to make it successful because I haven't been able to do it, and most of my customers can't do it. There are people that do it online, but, you know, even all the beta groups, I watch a lot of people keep beta sororities for about 12 months, and then it's a tornado of death. And, you know, there's always going to be like, oh, but the 10%, they did really well. Yep. I don't know what the magical part that makes that 10% successful, though. Is it they're lying? Is it they got different water? Is it they feed a different food? Is it, you know, some unknown factor? Is it just 10% of the time it's going to work? I don't know the answer to that. So my advice to people is, I don't think it's a good idea. And I know it's not a good idea for me or any of the people around me. Maybe it's a great idea for you. Now, it's a different situation if you have a 300-gallon pond in your garage and you're like, I want to do a better sorority in this giant tank. I think you got way better odds, you know, but I think you're probably going to want to do it like everyone else. Like, I got a 20 long. I want to do a better sorority, this and this and this. Like, that cookie cutter setup, 9 times out of 10 just doesn't work in my experience. Marissa, if I feed my goldfish in a fishbowl, will that help lower the ammonia in my tank? My betta is my only fish. In a very, like, in a vacuum, yes, right? So let's take it to a simpler analogy. If I always ate food outside on the deck versus in the dining room, would it keep the dining room cleaner? Probably, like a little bit, right? Like, not that I'm like, you know, I'm not like going Cookie Monster in the living room, just food's flying everywhere, right? But technically, I dropped, you know, some crumbs off a piece of toast. Good thing I was outside, right? Like, yeah, slightly cleaner. But, you know, the mess really comes later when you got to go to the bathroom, right? Kind of the same thing's going to go on with that betta. You'd have to really, like, you know, like, I'm feeding you today. Live in the bowl. Oh, tomorrow you don't eat. Live over here. I think you're much better off figuring out, how do I manage this waste? And, partial water changes once a month or once a week, or I've got a few live plants, or like, I think your time is better spent that way. When you move a betta a lot, especially at the wrong net, you can have fins get caught or fall off. Like, you're going to be way more prone to bacterial infections. So my advice would be, let's design a system for it to love eating in its own dining room instead of, you know, it's like my grandma. For as long as I've been alive, she's had the living room, which is like the nice living room. It had like Victorian couches and a white carpet, and like, it looked amazing. Except no one could go in there because it looked amazing. Don't screw it up. Like, so she had this amazing living room that could never be used, and I was like, what's the point of having this, right? And even today, it's kind of like, what's the point of having this? So I feel like the same thing. Like, what's the point of having a fish tank if you've got to do all this work and, like, I got this bowl and I got this and I got that going on? Like, that's kind of defeating the purpose of having it. It's like buying a brand new truck and then never hauling anything in it. Like, I can't get this truck dirty. Well, then why did we buy a truck? We should have bought like a Toyota Camry or something. Like, that defeated the purpose, right? So I would say, my best advice, let's work on developing a system where, you know, it's going to thrive in that environment. And that's what I like to do. I like to keep an environment, and yeah, fish and plants and all these things I like to look at live in there. But the real goal for me is like, what do I tweak in this environment to make it work, right? So, okie dokie. Let's hop into this one from Mandolin, which is a new supporter. What aspects of the hobby in Germany and in China would you like to see make their way to the U.S.? All right, I would love to see in China, or for the China. Okay, let me back that up. What I want to bring from China to here is their sump / technology. So the digitalness of the way they run their pumps, and they can detect flow restriction and all that kind of stuff. I want that. And then I want their sumps, which I got some video of and that kind of stuff. They're, how do I explain it? They're just like super cool and well thought out. Like they put a lot of value in that, right? So I want to bring that over to our hobby. And then the thing I want to bring over from Germany, which it would make my life harder, I'm sure, but is, for lack of a better term, the fish police. Like if you were killing too many fish, you can't sell fish anymore. And I think I got to qualify that with, I think even us, we're killing a lot of fish for German standards. But that's because wholesalers and import facilities don't have many regulations. And it's not like we're killing a ton of fish. We're killing very few compared to Petco, PetSmart, other mom and pop stores. But I have a feeling way less are dying in stores in Germany. Now, I can't know that for sure. It's not like I'm there every morning counting bodies or anything. But I feel like having someone to answer to would just overall make the hobby better, assuming it's been done right, obviously. Like, it could go horribly wrong. But having to answer that, I think, for that, and knowing that, like, if I kill too many fish, I could lose my license to sell fish and that kind of stuff, would be a good deterrent and make the chain, I guess, better, right? Like, it still wouldn't affect where the fish are being bred, but once they landed in the United States, at least then there'd be a chain of, like, care that had to have been taken care of. I think that would be good for us. And I mean, I'm sure there's technologies and stuff, but yeah, there's another technology I'm going to talk about. So there's a company in Poland, and I think it's Aquanel. I've already forgotten the name. I apologize to that company, but they're making some wicked products. And what I filmed it. I just got to figure out what I'm going to do with it. But they've got a canister filter that's got a built-in intake sponge. Now, without being able to see it, this is really hard to describe. But imagine when you got to go clean your canister filter, right? You got to turn the thing off, unlock it, take the whole top off, and like carry it over to the sink, right? Well, this thing, it basically has a valve you like shut off, and then like two little clips, and you can pull out this block of sponge. It's like you pulled it out of a hang-on back, carry it, clean it out at the sink, put it back in, and it keeps your canister filter running good or running well. The other aspect, their newest version, which it's not in production yet, they had the prototype there, and I got to see it. It also has like Wi-Fi capability built in, so it'll let your phone know when the flow is starting to be reduced. So when that sponge is starting to get gunked up, starts sending alerts to your phone going, hey, you know, it's Saturday, clean that intake. So I thought that was really cool technology that I'm looking forward to when that makes it to the U.S., right? So I thought it was cool to like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because we have that kind of stuff now where Eheim and that kind of stuff, it's got like a little floating ball in there, and you got to like get down under your tank and go, maybe it's getting clogged. I don't know. I'm never doing that again. That's too much work. But if my phone was like, hey man, you dirty. Oh, okay, I guess I got to take care of that. Oh, I got a day on Saturday. I'll get to it, you know. And then on Friday, be like, hey man, you still dirty, and it would keep reminding me until I did it. And I think that's a cool. I think that's the right path of where we need to go. Is like, okay, that makes some sense. It's not necessarily automation or anything like that, but I just think it's good. So, yeah. Alrighty, let's move on. Move on. Dufa 797. Are there any tetras that grow over 3 inches? There are some African tetras that do get up to that 4-inch range. I'm trying to think of, like, maybe you might be able to classify Congo tetras that do that. Depends if you want to like lump in pink-tailed Chelseus and that kind of stuff. Those definitely do, but you could be like, well, that ain't really a tetra. And I'm like, okay, I could see that argument. I'm trying to think of other tetras where I know, like, oh dang, yeah, easily 3 inches. I can't think of many, you know, but 3 inches, that's pretty, like, this is probably 3 inches right here. Like, that's pretty stout. That's 3 inches right there. I bet you. I don't have anything to measure it with, but it's not that far off. That's a pretty stout tetra. I know there's a lot of the African ones that are like that. But yeah, I can't think of any. Now they're common in the hobby. I mean, I'm sure there's someone out there totally nerding out going, you forgot about these. So. Ooh, Patrick Aquatics. By the way, I saw another fish YouTuber at Vid Summit. It was Infamous Aquatics. I hadn't really heard or seen of him. Seen him before. But I was excited to see, ooh, another fish YouTuber trying to get educated like I am. I hope it works out for that guy. I haven't watched one of his videos yet. I had poor service while I was there. Alrighty. So now we've got Patrick Aquatics. I'll be graduating in May with a degree in accounting. Accounting isn't what I want to do long term, though. I need to work in the aquarium industry in some manner soon. Very vague, but suggestions. All right. So you're going to have an accounting degree. I mean, I don't know what your long-term plan is, but I'd be trying to leverage myself into a sales rep position. And typically how that goes is you work at a decently sized local fish store that has reps come in, and you're just like a superstar. And then you mention how you're like, yeah, I'm kind of looking to become a sales rep for a company. You know any of them that are hiring? And then you give them like your accounting background and how you can work percentages and how you can like keep track of all your mileage you're going to be driving. And you can go, okay, you'll understand I got to get all my accounts up by 6% growth, and I'm going to get this return and that kind of stuff. So you might be able to leverage your way into that if you're talking about that. Otherwise, it's kind of like just go get yourself a job at a mom and pop store and, enjoy it and work and just enjoy what you do. And if you're going to graduate to owning your own store or something like that, you'll make that decision once you have, I don't want to call it insider knowledge, but once you have this is what it's like to work at a fish store long term, and this is the nitty gritty of it. Yeah. Ooh, that's the wrong thing here. Amy Jones. Why don't people use more types of stone in their aquarium? I feel like the variety is very limited. I noticed that there are some types available in Europe and not in the U.S. So part of it is realize that Europe is like tiny in comparison. So when you're like, man, look at that. Germany, France, and UK all has it. It's like, well, yeah, that's like 2 or 3 states worth here. So it's a very small region for a lot of this stuff. That being said, a lot of the American hobby, and this is a gross overgeneralization from a very high macro level, we like to do, monkey see, monkey do. Oh, that looks really cool. I want to do that. And we're not as much, ooh, that hasn't been done before. I'm going to try and do that. Does that make any sense? So, like, there are plenty of types of rock I can bring in. The business in me goes, well, if these 5 sets of stone are selling really well, if I bring in a 6th type of stone, will I make more money? And from my sales this far in my career, no. So let's say I sell $50,000 worth of rock in a year between store, online, all that kind of stuff. If I now have 6 types, each one just sells like, $8,500 worth instead of each one doing $5,000 or $10,000 worth. And so it definitely costs more money to keep it in stock. You got to store it. You got all those other things to it. And I would have to, like, if I bring in elephant stone, right? If I bring that in, I have to educate a lot of people on what it even is. Because unless you're a hardcore aquascaping nerd, you don't even really know what that is yet. So I got to do twice as much work to not make any more money. I think that's the big, like, why aren't we doing that? I think it's that. In Europe and stuff, it's pretty competitive when it comes to how do I set myself apart from all these other rad stores, and maybe you having a bit more rock would help with that. That's my best guess. So, alrighty. Wee Wee says 170-gallon tank. He's got 10 cories, 10 rainbows, 6 clowns, 3 acaras, 4 roseline sharks, 4 Siamese alligators. Max out, or can I add? I don't know. I feel like you could add a ton. But that being said, I don't know how large those clownlets are. That could be 14 inches each. Even then, I'd still add more. I feel like what you're missing, let me go through that again, is like a lot of schooling fish. Like I would double down on a group of like Colombian blue tetras or Congo tetras or like scissortail rasboras or just something where like, ooh, that looks, oh, you got the rainbows, but you don't have that many, right? You got 10? Yeah. I would do like some kind of group of larger tetra in there. And I mean, again, I don't know your situation, so maybe you're like, oh, I only got to do water changes once every 2 months, and maybe that's where you want to be. But if you're going physically, can I keep more fish, and could I be changing water once or twice a week? Yes, those things, could be happening. And yeah, Dean's Fish Room's in the house. Got the snail icon, and somehow this thing won't go away over here. Let me see if I can get that to go away. I don't know. I can't get it to stop, but he's asking for the like spike, so we're gonna do it. We're gonna get that ready. So what happens is we count it down from 5, and then we all hit the like at the same time. We try to, trick YouTube into showing us to 2 more people than it would have. So here we go. We're gonna hit that button, and we're gonna go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Click it. I already clicked it, so I can't click it again. But those likes, they do help. The shares, they do help. That's this street squad, the cooperatives, if you will. My main goal is to A, let's grow bigger, and B, let's actually help people. Like that's, I don't know how I'm gonna the biggest thing in my mind, like how am I gonna reward people? Not that they have to be rewarded, but I want it some way where there's a random there was just a batch of cookies on my doorstep today. It said from the cooperative, good job. Just give back or something, and not be like, man, I helped 12 people today. Where's my cookies? But I want to find all right, I got the old tip of the cap from someone, and not even me. That'd be a cooler thing. Is how what do they call that? Random act of kindness. I'll do that with plant threads and stuff. What if the cooperatives did that, but they didn't ask. It was just came home, had a 12-pack of Reese's on my doorstep. It was a good day, and it was snowing outside, so it's like they were already in the freezer. Just started eating them. Wouldn't believe it. Yeah. Alrighty. Oh, the link to the earlier question, Evolution Aqua. All right, let me try to do this on the fly. If this doesn't work, it'll still have to be that way. So, evolutionaqua.com. This is talking about those stands and stuff. See if it pulls up here. All right. Let me take a look. I mean, they don't look that much different than, God, what are those stands? Is it Evo? Is it Evo? It might even be Evo. Nuvi? I can't think. There's a whole line of them, but I can't remember. I think Ray's Aquaria unboxed one, but that's Fluval. Evo's the Fluval. It's not a Fluval kit. I think there is. I just can't remember off the top of my head, because you're basically getting a rimless tank and then a nice looking stand that is not ADA $400,000. Yeah. So I'd have to look into it more, because I don't want to just be like, oh yeah, it's this, and not actually help you. What is that company called? I'm not a huge fan of rimless tanks, and I know I'm the only guy on the planet that doesn't go gaga over rimless tanks, but that's why I don't follow it that much. But the reality is, here's the reality: everything's made in China. I mean, not everything, but let's back up. 75% of stuff's made in China, and then it just gets a different name on it. So yes, it's highly likely that brand exists over here just as another name. I'm watching everyone do it. I'm like, oh, so you're the actual, so I met the people that are actually making Phoenix's filtration and that kind of stuff. And, I've met different companies where I'm like, oh, you literally make this. And then we just put a label on it. Okay. And the quantities you got to buy are insane. Let's not, downplay that. You're oh, you got to buy 400,000 lights at a time. Okay. Yeah, that's an investment. But the reality is, yes, someone else could enter into almost any of those markets, and that's what a lot of people do. Companies like myself and other big companies, they go, oh man, I could get my own version of, like, let's say you went to China and they're making Diet Coke, essentially. It just doesn't have the label on it yet. Oh, you want, say, Aquarium Co-Op? Yeah, sure. You just got to buy five cargo containers worth. Oh, okay, that's all. They don't really care. It's just like, it's mostly the money to be able to get into it. Like, oh, geez, that's a lot of soda. Oh, where am I going to store it? Where is that going to happen? So, all right, Cole, what do you got for me? Is it true you have to do 100% water change every day for super red bristlenose to grow? I have a 60-gallon breeding for profit tank with 8 super red bristlenose and 6 guppies filled with hornwort. I'll say this. I've only made probably a few hundred super reds, but I've never once done 100% water change growing them or breeding them. So I would say that's probably false. I think we can all agree that good water quality is important to grow any fish, to breed any fish, that kind of thing. But I feel like that's a statement like saying, like, oh, you want to be in shape? Yeah, you got to run a marathon for 14 hours a day every day. Like, would you be in shape from doing that? Yes. Turns out you could just run for an hour every day of your life and get the same results. Like, I think that's a very big extreme. I think what happens there is some guy or girl is just a maniac when it comes to water changes, and they're having a lot of success breeding them. And so people take away, like, you got to be a maniac. I get it. And then they have some success. So then now they tell everyone they ever see, like, no. 100% water change every day. That's the only way you can do that. No. Because before I was doing that, they weren't doing it. And the reality probably was that, like, their bristlenose were only like 6 months old and they weren't even old enough to breed. And then they started becoming a madman or mad woman when it came to water change. And then they started breeding, and it's like, oh, well, they're just 8 months old now, and now they can breed. Like, it was a coincidence. So I don't think, well, in my experience breeding that fish, I've never had to do that. Maybe I would have cranked out a billion more fish, but I don't think that to be true of almost any fish. From Tommy Tank says, I need a new shirt design. Aquarium Co-op shirts are conversation starters. Yes, I wanna make that cooperative shirt or another shirt if someone's got a good name. Like, I want some kind of, not exclusive, I don't want to call it exclusive, but I want some kind of like a team shirt, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. Just like, oh, sweet, you got one of those. Like, oh, like right now, like, I got recognized at TSA when I was going through the airport, and people like, Aquarium Co-Op, hey, it's you, I watch your stuff. Like, watching or wearing the shirt, you get recognized, right? But I want it to be like the super secret squirrel club. Like, oh, cooperative shirt. You dig? Like, I want them to, like, I know what's up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, I want it to be an ally from across the room. You're like, yeah, that person, they're nice. Like, you would just know. Like, yeah, if you're just a mean person, we're going to steal that shirt off your back, take it, we're going to repo it, But no, I'm thinking about some stuff. I definitely, in my wheelhouse of traveling way too much, I got a lot of time on a plane to think about stuff. I do want to solve some problems, and that was get back into the community with you guys. I want to figure out, how do I get at least shirts to people around the world, like, that's because I get it. It's like, I don't even want to make that analogy because it makes me look like I'm an egomaniac. But for lack of a better thing, and I don't want to sit here forever, but like, let's say you really liked, like a sports team, but you could never get any of their merchandise. Like, that's not cool, right? And so kind of the same thing's going on. If you really like what we're doing here and you want to be a part of it and you can't get any of the merch, it's harder to connect, right? And so, yeah, I want to figure out how I can do it at a decent quality. Like, I can do it through Teespring, but I feel like the quality is not as good. Like, if I'm being honest, like, I'll do it if I have to, right? Because slightly less quality is still better than nothing. But I keep telling myself, there's got to be an actual solution to this. Not this, like, half working solution where, yeah. So I want to figure it out. It's on my to-do list. I want to get a new shirt made. Mostly just because I would like to freshen up the wardrobe a little bit. Like I wear a lot of Aquarium Co-op shirts and like, oh, there's a new thingy, you know? So yeah. This is from Time Farrell. How do I grow water sprites super fast? I dose fertilizers, liquid CO2, sorry. And I have a Phoenix Stingray on for 12 hours a day. So first, let me put on the giant sales pitch. If you're not dosing Easy Green, you're doing it wrong, son. No, just make sure that whatever fertilizer you have has ample nitrogen, potassium, phosphates. Like if you're using something like a Seachem Comprehensive or just Seachem Flourish, it has those things, but in limited amounts. Same with like a Leaf Zone, you know. But there's a lot of fertilizers that could totally work well. But that would be the first thing is, because I see a lot of people like, well, I put something on bread, and then I put another something on bread, and my sandwich tastes horrible. It's like, well, you did, you know, mustard and jelly. Like, that's not a good combo, right? So you got to make sure that, like, you're at least, okay, liquid CO2 helps a bit. Make sure you got a decent fertilizer going in. And on top of that, like, you have a Stingray light. Let's make sure it's on a reasonably shallow tank, like a tank that's like a 20-gallon or shallower. Because if you have it on like a 75, it's not much light at all. It's going to grow really slow anyway. So you have the ingredients, I think, for success. But let's make sure they're being mixed in the right way and that they're fresh ingredients. Like, I don't know how to, you've got the recipe. Okay, you've got the recipe, but whether the ingredients are 100% correct, well, let's make sure that is. From there, it's like, okay, well, there's something in your technique then, right? So, but I find most people that, like you just described, like, you've got everything to bake a cake. Why is it not working? Oh, you were doing it in the wrong order, or you were leaving out this critical step, or something like that. So, yeah, I think you can get there, though. It should not be a super duper hard plant to grow or anything like that. So, all right. Ooh, I want to get back to the super chats. Where are you, super chats? Jane Tank for $5. What would a good aquatic experience meetup look like? Flesh that idea out. Okay, so I think in a perfect world, let me think. So I think it starts with travel. So you got to imagine we're all at a convention, and let's say it's Friday night or Saturday. Like, ideally, we'd have 2 places picked out. They'd be different places. And we would know ahead of time, like, oh, we're all going to Diet Coke Factory at 6 o'clock, and it's 8 blocks from here. If you stand around the booth at the end of the day, we're going to buddy up as much as possible to get a ride there, right? That's a perfect scenario. And Diet Coke people would already know we're coming, and we would say, like, we want to bring like 30 to 50 people, and they've got to be receptive to it because they might be like, well, I don't want to save 30 seats and you may or may not get 30 people. So we got to find a place that's like a little bit desperate for us or just has way too much room. But I think that's the best thing. We're like, yeah, we're all going to this pizza place. You coming? And yeah, otherwise it's kind of like, we're going out to dinner somewhere. Where? I don't know. Okay, I'll stop back by. Hey, do you know yet? No. And it eventually is 5:10 and someone's going, let me start calling places. That's how it usually goes down. We all do go somewhere, but we don't know where. And so fleshing that out is someone's doing a little bit of research. Hopefully it's not crazy expensive. Like, I mean, I will go eat $25 hamburgers at a hotel if they have the space, but do realize that we'll have all income levels, and we will also have people that, like, oh, they've got 4 kids and 2 adults, like $25 cheeseburgers. All of a sudden you're looking at $200 to go to eat. Like, that's a little brutal. So I try to keep it moderate, or like something where I like it when everyone can eat and it's like under $15. Like, ideally under 10. You're like, oh, I got a hot dog, or I got pizza, and I grabbed a drink, and yeah, I always feel horrible if I feel like someone's being left out due to price. Like, oh, this is a horrible idea, So I try to avoid that. But that's about as good as you can flesh it out because we're limited by what's around that convention center, right? Like, I don't know. There could be nothing. Like, I could be building the hype train, like near the Chinese convention center we're at. Oh, you want to go eat? Yeah, 30-minute taxi ride, fool. That's how that was. So, yeah, I have no idea how it's going to go down. But I know we've got MHOW 9 coming with the dad van, so we can take at least like 8 in one van. So we got that. That being said, himself, Jimmy, Joel, and I is 4 people. We can get another 4 people. We can do a couple of runs if we need to. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to hanging out. And, you know, I never guarantee something's going to happen, but it's highly likely something will happen. All right, we got about 5 minutes left. I can't even see the stupid chat. I got to, like, close it out, open it up. Went for, you know, good old 2 hours trying to get back to the way I used to do it, and that was the 2-hour stream. Oh, we put something else up. First meetup at AE, by the way, on Friday. All right. Yeah, I would think Friday. Thursday night, I have a business meeting I have to attend, and we don't even land till late. And there might be one other night I have to break away from the group and do something with people. I'm trying not to, but, you know, if it's a big enough, like, business discussion, it makes sense. Like, there's some things that may or may not be in play. Like, I don't know. It's so ambiguous that, like, if I get the vibe no one's serious, I'm not ditching the fans. And I ain't even say I'm ditching the fans, but if they're like, someone really wants to do one of the projects I'm really wanting to do, I got to kind of just suck it up and be like, all right, I got to go to dinner with these guys because they're serious about making something happen. So, all right. So did we have a good time today? Like, let me, like, in the comments down below, and like, do we like this? I know that some people like only targeted informational topics. We might do that at some point. This is not that show. Let me know in the comments also. Like, one of the reasons I picked Friday is I wanted it so people had enough time to maybe listen to it on a Saturday or a Sunday. Like, oh, I'm working in the garage or I'm doing my water changes. And then I felt super horrible that I realized LR Brett's streams. I think he's already streaming or might be streaming. Let me look. Maybe we can go. I've been wanting to do this thing. Another YouTuber did it, and I thought it was hilarious, and I want to do it too. So if he's still streaming, we're gonna do something. Because I feel bad. I'm never, you know, Lucas, if you're watching this after the fact or anything like that, I always want people to know I'm never intentionally trying to cause a problem. It, you know, like, in my mind, I thought, so I wrote, like, to the members, the people that joined up, the members, I wrote a message like, Friday, I'm going to go live. I really want to do this, guys. And I was at the convention. Clearly, I wasn't going like, oh, what's the live stream schedule for everyone? And I forgot that. And so I'm not trying to create any kind of a rift. But let me see if he's live. I don't think he is right now. Oh, he was already live, and 8 minutes ago. Dang it! See, now I look like a. I'll make it up to him somehow. Lucas, I apologize. I'll see you in person, buddy. I'll figure it out. Like, I don't know. I really liked 6 p.m. because I think I can do this on a Friday. Believe it or not, Friday, because I'm such a homebody, makes perfect sense. I don't do anything on Friday nights. Like, I don't go out. I don't drink. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. So I was like, yeah, Friday nights. I usually got nothing going on. I'm just a guy. I mean, besides when I have to travel, which I'm trying to cut that back. But I'm just a guy that's like, I'm usually in other people's streams. And now that I think about it, like, oh, yeah, I listen to Lucas. Like, oh, man. So I'll figure it out. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll talk to Lucas. Maybe he'll just go an hour earlier or an hour later, or maybe I will. Like, I don't want to even pretend to be like, I'm claiming rank, buddy. I'm a just steamroll you no matter what you do. I'm going to try to figure something out, or a different day. But let me know too. Like, I don't want to like try to figure out something like, no one can watch on a Friday. You crazy. But the poll said everyone wanted on a weekend, and I was looking at my schedule, and it made sense. And I'm about to cough right into your guys' ear. And again, like, just as I'm trying to come back. We got a minute left. Let's see what you guys got to say. Not everyone. Someone's enjoying the Oh yeah, send him a truckload of Tetra color granules. I would if Tetra wasn't on my poo-poo list. They made it so I'm not allowed to sell. Well, not me. The giant conglomerate that owns Tetra made it so all of their brands couldn't be sold online so that they can land the contract with Walmart and that kind of stuff. And so, like, I myself am subtly trying to boycott Tetra, going, well, then fine. I won't even carry you in my store for the most part, because that's not a very cool move. Like, it just, you know, it's not like I was undercutting anyone, but if you're going to let that happen, that's fine. Business is business, but I'm going to do what I can to try and not support that. That being said, people are still selling online, and they're just not supposed to, and they're getting it through back channels and working around the system. I'm a guy that plays by the rules. Unfortunately, that costs me time and money and heartache sometimes, but if I just run a clean, fair game, win or lose at the end, you go, I played right, you know, and so that's what I try to do. Yes, Tetra is tripping. Who is Lucas? Lucas is LR Brett's Aquatics, and hopefully in the future I'll have this set up a little more so I can put some stuff up on screen for you and that type of stuff. But he's another YouTuber, breeds a lot of shrimp, runs a lot of natural tanks, good guy. I believe he'll be at the Aquatic Experience. You can meet him there if you're going, but check out his channel if you haven't. Like, he's worth watching. He's kind of a kooky dude, but he figures out a lot of stuff for himself, and that's always a good thing. Like, when someone is out there going, I know what everyone says, but I got to see with my own two eyes here. I'm kind of the same way. Like, I get it. That's what you say, but I want to watch it fail. Oh, you're right. It did fail. They're like, no, it didn't do that. See? That's why we test. So he's just a good dude, and yeah. So again, like I said, I apologize. Last but not least, we have that code. Unboxing is the code. It gets you 25% off shirts and hoodies. Please go buy all of our stuff. It keeps all of our employees employed, which we have 8 employees now. You know, it's kind of a win-win situation. You guys buy from us. Hopefully you get something you need. I get to pay my employees, and we do it again next week, and we just keep doing it and doing it. Unfortunately, I won't say for sure I won't be alive, but probably I'll try to be on Lucas's live stream next Friday night if we're not already out to eat. It should be late enough. I don't know. It gets weird with that whole, okay, it's going to be time ahead, and then that's going to happen, and blah, blah, blah. So maybe I'll be live on his channel. Depends if we're all out eating or not. But thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Next time I'll send out kind of that bat signal from the website, and we'll have more people. And I appreciate those of you that became members today. That's super cool. I want to see people get the the super cool stuff we got lined up at the 2-year mark and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, we'll see you guys later. I'll try and find a button that makes this stop. And that's not it. Nope. Ideally, I'm going to have a little button I push at the end. I'm going to have one of these buttons. Be like, boom, and start the launch sequence. And yeah, I found the button though. Thanks, guys. I truly appreciate it. Getting down, back to earth, hanging out is what we do Friday nights with the fish community, the cooperatives. Let me know cooler name than that. If we can come up with one, we'll use it. If we can't, we got to be the cooperatives. Bye-bye. Dinner time.